There are a lot of things people think you need in a van, but after living in mine for the last 4 years, these are the things I'm happy I put in, and at the end I will tell you one big thing I'm glad I skipped. This is Sharing My Van Life. I'm Catherine. Lucky, my cat and I travel across Canada and the States, sharing real van life, videos here, and deeper guides on my blog. If you're new to van life, I make a free beginner's checklist with the things that actually matter. The link's in the description down below. What are the things that I am so glad I put in my van? First is a permanent bed setup. A permanent bed was non-negotiable for me. Not having to set up and tear down one every single day made van life so much more comfortable for me. After a long day of driving, the last thing I wanted to do was have to make up a bed. Putting on the sheets every day in a tiny compact space is a nightmare to me. Then the next morning, having to pull it all apart, put it all away before accessing most anything else in my van was definitely not what I wanted. So I chose a single mattress as I am a single solo traveler. This gave me more living space. A permanent bed was definitely the best choice for me. Good sleep, better van life, that's for sure. Another thing I'm so glad I put in my van is the wall behind my seats. In the beginning, when I first started designing my van, I knew I would be living in the city, Vancouver, Canada to be exact, for at least a year. I chose the wall behind the seat so it would look more like a work van when I parked on the street. And it does. You can't see anything from the outside. It gave me privacy and safety as no one could see inside the van when I was here. This was perfect for when I was living in the city. I didn't realize the other benefits until later. It provides insulation from the front windows. I don't have to buy covers for the front. It saves me money for window coverings. The wall keeps the back of the van at least 10 degrees cooler in the summer. A true benefit since I have Lucky in my life now, and she needs a cooler van. When the sliding door is closed, it makes the back even more cozy. It feels like a tiny home rather than just a vehicle. I know most people have a curtain across to make a wall to add for the privacy, but I find the wall gives no light coming through. And I don't have to fiddle with a curtain. I don't have to put it up or take it down. I just have to open or close the door. When the door is open, I have natural light and I could easily get to and from the front of the van. The wall also gives me wall space to hang my shoe rack and a place to hook my coats. Another definite positive since a van has very little wall space. One disadvantage, one could say, is I don't have a swivel seat. But I have a bench seat and that works for me. And the wall definitely outweighs any benefits of having a swivel seat. Another thing I'm so glad I put in my van is a toilet. I know toilets are controversial in van life, but I was so glad I have one. I am so glad I have one. When parked in the city, the last thing I wanted to do was to have to find a bathroom. Also, when I'm traveling at a rest stop or a truck stop, I did not want to have to leave the van after I closed up. As a solo female traveler, this can also be a safety concern. If the weather is rainy or cold, the worst thing I could want to do is have to get dressed and go outside to go to the bathroom. I would recommend having a toilet of some sort. There are many options that you can work with. You can find the setup that works best for you. I chose a separator compost toilet. It was probably a bit of an overkill money-wise, but I am so happy I have it. I can hold a good week of poo without any issues or smells, about 5 days of urine, and it is comfortable to sit on. Another definite plus. Toilets are not glamorous, but very practical. And definitely as an older female, this really truly matters to me. Another thing I'm so glad I put in my van is a solar setup. Solar gives me freedom. I'm not constantly chasing outlets or a place to power up my power station. This was the largest expense in my van by far, and I have no regrets. I have 300-watt solar panels, two 150-watt panels, 4 AGM batteries, and a 3,500-watt inverter. I can easily boondock. I work most days and can charge my phone and laptop easily. I also use a CPAP, so I can easily charge that battery. I do use a battery rather than plugging it overnight. I usually cook 2 hot meals a day. I use a kettle a few times a day. And occasionally I have an air fryer, and I use it. I chose not to have a microwave, which I have no regrets. The air fryer works really well for me. Having my professional setup gives me ease and peace of mind. It was well worth the cost for me. Another thing I'm so glad I put in my van is my propane heater. Living in Canada, a heater is essential, and even most of the States as well, I think. It is surprising how many cold, damp days you have, especially in the winter or living on the west coast of Canada or the west coast of the US. There's always a cool, damp day. A heater is wonderful to have. Even traveling down south in the winter, there are really some cold days. Being able to turn on a heater to take the chill off a cold morning is wonderful. It makes van life so much more comfortable. I would recommend putting in a heater in your van. I like the propane heater. It works really well for me. I've had no problems over the last 4 years. Propane is safe, it's clean to use, and easy to find a place to fill up the tank when needed. One more thing I'm really glad I put in my van is my induction stove. I love my induction stove. It's clean, it heats fast, there's no open flame, and it works really well with my solar setup. I wanted to cook inside my van. Again, when I started out, I was living stealth in Vancouver, so I couldn't easily leave my van to cook or even have the door open. The induction stove gave me the ease to cook indoors. I really did not want an open flame in the van, so there's no open flame, no ventilation required. It cools down as soon as I turn it off, which is another definite plus in a small kitchen space. It can be easily cleaned and used. No regrets having my induction burner. The one thing I chose not to put in my van, and I have no regrets whatsoever, is a shower. This surprises people the most, but I'm really glad I didn't put a shower in my van. There's less moisture to deal with, less maintenance, less hunting for water, and it gives me more space in the van. And honestly, I shower just fine without one. Gyms, campgrounds, state parks, truck stops, sponge baths, and wipes work really well as well. This works for my lifestyle. I didn't want to put it in a shower because mainly the space. It takes up a lot of space in a small van. I didn't want to have to carry so much water or to fill up so often. A shower uses a lot of water even when you're conservative. When traveling, water is not always easy to find or access, I guess, and most often it costs money. When boondocking, you have to drive often 100 miles to get to the nearest town to fill up with water. It wasn't convenient for me to have to fill up water every few days. Also, after showering, you have to dump your gray tank. Again, you have to do this more often than not having a shower. I have 100% no regrets. For me, the trade-off of having to use wipes or shower elsewhere was well worth it. These choices worked really well for me, but van life is really personal. If you're building a van, what's one thing you would never skip? Or something you would skip entirely? Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe to my channel. I share practical, honest van life advice for beginners. No fluff, just my own experience. Thanks for being here with me, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.